We're going to talk about what sociology is not, and a few helpful terms that are going to help us understand what is going on for the rest of the semester. So first, what is sociology? Well, it's the social science that looks at the development and structure of human society and how it works. According to the American Sociological Association, the ASA, it's the study of life, social change, and the social causes and consequences of human behavior. It concerns itself with the structure of groups, organizations, and societies, and how people interact within these contexts. The ASA also says that all human behavior is social, so the subject matter of sociology ranges from the intimate family to the hostile mob, from organized crime to religious cults, from the divisions of race, gender, and social class to the shared beliefs of a common culture, from the sociology of work to the sociology of sports. So let's go over some basic terms that we'll be using throughout the semester. First, sociologists say that we all play certain roles in our society, and that role is our status. Status describes our position within an institution or a social context. If we are in a context that organizes people vertically, we call that hierarchy. Now, we've already used the word culture a couple of times, but what is that? Culture is a group's shared practices, values, and beliefs. Values are a group's common beliefs. So how is that different? Well, a belief is an idea that a person holds in any given context, an assumption about the world. I believe corduroy is overrated, or I believe Coke is better than Pepsi. It becomes a value when it holds true across social contexts and expresses something that the person deems important. So, I value hard work over achievement. I value honesty over kindness. But the values we are talking about are what members of a group collectively believe. So, Maribel's friends may believe in punctuality, whereas Nevadans believe in individuality. Now, norms are behavioral rules for a particular role or context that comes from that context's systems of values. So, students face the front of the classroom, instructors face the rear, right? Those are the norms of an American school. Or maybe the norms of an after-work softball league. If you are 15 minutes late to the softball game, you can't play that week because we believe in being hospitable by greeting the away team and cleaning the field so that they can have batting practice. When behavior strays from those norms, we call that deviance. Now, you may also hear another word come up, to reify or reification. That means to treat an abstract concept as though it is real and tangible. Now, some people do this with characters like Santa Claus or the Easter Bunny, right? We may even leave cookies or something for them to eat, right? We believe that they will leave us rewards if we're good and will punish us if we're bad. Well, some people also do this with abstract concepts and ideas like society or racism. Anytime that we find ourselves constantly using the word society or constantly using the word they, chances are we're reifying something. So now let's talk a little bit about history. Now first, the word sociology was invented by Auguste Comte, who lived just after the French Revolution. He referred to the scientific study of social patterns as positivism, by which he meant the scientific method, the same one used by chemists and physicists. Positivism claimed to be objective and hoped to lead to explanations and predictive laws just like the other sciences had. Emile Durkheim, who studied under Comte, took this idea and turned sociology into its own discipline, separate from the other sciences and separate from psychology. And he did this by using strict quantitative methodology to put sociology on similar footing with the other sciences. For this, he is considered to be the founder of sociology, and his main paradigm would later be called functionalism. Now, functionalism has been discredited, but it looks at a society using the model of a machine or an organism, where everything functions together as a system. Some of its ideas are still useful, though. Under functionalism, everything has a specific function within the system. So, for instance, crime tells us where the boundaries of our morals are. Because Durkheim lived in the wake of the French Revolution, a time of very rapid social change and very large systemic change, he was more interested in figuring out why society wasn't completely falling apart. And this is partly why one of the great criticisms of functionalism is that it doesn't explain social change very well. Well, the critical paradigm, commonly called conflict theory, is much better at explaining social change. Now, it uses the idea that societies are vertically organized into social classes, the haves and the have-nots. Karl Marx first championed this idea and believed that social change happens via conflict between groups over who gets to control the means of production. Now, Max Weber did not believe that we could objectively study society the way other sciences claim to be objective. He argued that the best information we could hope to get from studying people would be an understanding from those people's point of view, which he called Verstehen, which is the German word for understanding. His methods involved direct observation and interviewing as opposed to tracking numbers in official documents the way Durkheim had. And this marked the beginning of the interpretive paradigm and qualitative methods. George Herbert Mead looked at interactions between individuals and theorized that people within a given society tended to share certain types of interactions which socialize us into that culture. And his work is largely considered symbolic interactionism and is firmly in the interpretive paradigm. But what is a theory? Well, a theory is a way to explain things that we can observe. And we use these theories to create testable propositions. And we call those propositions hypotheses. Is something going to happen or isn't it? And paradigms are sets of philosophical and theoretical assumptions that help us to organize theories and to develop new ones. So, another few words, a few last terms. Social institutions are patterns of beliefs and behaviors that meet particular needs. We can look at them as different groupings or different levels within a society. They can be very small, such as the institution of the family. We have beliefs and we have sets of behaviors that we expect from a mother and a father and a child. But institutions can also be much larger, such as religions, churches, healthcare, banks, hospital, finance, or even government. And one famous sociologist whose work is often credited as symbolic interaction is Erving Goffman. He used the metaphor of the stage, which is also called dramaturgy, to describe social interactions. We have a backstage area where we rehearse things. We have scripts and performances that govern certain situations. And we perform certain roles for others. And the last one, social construction, is a family of theories that argues that reality is what people construct it to be. Things have meaning because we give them meaning, and that meaning is not always universal, right? So if we grow up in a particular society, we have certain understandings of how the world works. That is different when we come into contact with people who grow up in a different situation from how we did, or people who grow up in a different society than we did. So that social construction is said to be fragile or flimsy. All right, so these are just a few of the terms that we're going to use throughout this entire semester, and I hope that you'll take some of it to heart, and then we'll start to use them a little bit later on.